Hi, everybody. Mayor Lou Manzo here with you again. Trying to bring you some updates on what's been happening in town and using this connection that we have with you to do it in a video format. So before we bring in our special guest today, I want to just make sure that you're aware that this coming Friday, September 11th, we will be having our 9/11, September 11th memorial ceremony on site at Main Street and Church Street. As we have done in the past couple of years since the monument has been complete. It is going to be a socially distanced activity. Masks will be worn, and we'll have things set up so that people will feel safe and secure if they choose to attend in person. We're also going to, stream it live on Facebook, so you have the ability to watch it live at the moment that it's happening, which starts at 6:30 and probably run about 45 minutes. Or there'll be a tape of it posted on Harrison Township Facebook page for you to review or look at with your family at a time after Friday night. So just want to make you aware of that. The thing that we want to talk about a little bit today has to do, indirectly is connected to the COVID crisis, which is the fact that we are now in early September, literally just about 6 full months into this episode. And, we all know the world has stopped, and that includes even what we're doing at the township level. Each committee member has a silo that we live in as far as where we might be a liaison to Clearview School Board or historic preservation or public property. We all have our own little silos and responsibilities that are our domain, if you want to call it that. And then every 2 weeks at our committee meetings, we get together and fill each other in on what's going on in our silo. And obviously that comes in a public sense and it's transparent to everybody attending meetings. And that's where often I will learn things that are happening, say in environmental or at the Harrison Township School Board level, because that's on my silo. So today we have with us Committeeman Adam Wingate, who we're going to talk about his silos a little bit here today. So welcome, Adam. Good to see you.
Mayor, how you doing?
I'm pretty good. For those of you that don't know, Adam is, I guess you're still technically a newlywed if you're in your first year. So married less than a year to Rebecca, and they have a son, Dylan. So the first question I always ask with this interesting time that we're enduring is, how's all that going at home?
Going good, going real well. Getting acclimated to everything. Dylan had his first day of middle school today.
Yeah.
He actually came home. He said, it's better to be back in school, learning face to face. He felt comfortable. He said, besides the mask, he said they wish there was some breaks for the mask to be on the whole time. He actually loved being back in person again.
So how old is Dylan again?
He's 12.
Yeah. So I've been wondering about the mask thing with kids, especially younger than that. But I guess, kids are resilient. They'll probably deal with it better than we have. So
Probably.
it's good to know things are going well. So Adam, beyond several responsibilities, Adam is the liaison to our Historic Preservation Commission and to our Environmental Commission. So I want you to give us just an update on maybe a couple of projects, because as I said earlier, as we led in, projects that were ongoing, whether it was a development with an outside developer or things like that. Obviously, everything came to a full halt, and even in town, projects that we had planned for different areas, we kind of went into a holding pattern too. And now we're at a point where potentially some of that might loosen up. So you can give us an update, and let's talk maybe on the Environmental Commission front first.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of our projects this year that we were really trying to focus on was the pond. The importance of the pond right now is, with the bike path coming in behind Main Street and then tying the new sidewalk in, it's going to be from Main Street down to the pond, just kind of restoring it to what it was 15, 20 years ago. If you notice, there's been a lot of vegetation growing up around the side of the banks. It was a place where people used to go and use, 2-3 times a year when they would stock it with trout, bass, channel catfish that, the state's actually stopped doing just because it's grown in. So what we're going to do as far as 2021 is actually take a vegetation program that's going to get rid of the spatter duck and the water willow and actually, reduce it to pretty much non-existence, which would be nice because it'll give us more of a shoreline to, people can get out there and start fishing again.
Yeah, it's cool. I know you kind of took that bull by the horns right when you got started, and even really before that, because you were engaged, got started, and even really before, actually, the entire year before you actually took the seat in January on committee. So it's exciting to hear that potentially is now going to move forward. And as you said, the long-term aspect of this with the bike path coming in behind that and bringing it back to the full blossom that it was when you were a kid, because you grew up here.
Yeah.
To be able to have it come back to that is really something that's exciting. The other thing that we've been talking about has to do with your other responsibility, or one of them, which is a Historic Preservation Commission domain, has to do with a few properties that the township now owns on Main Street, properties that are, in disrepair, and in working in conjunction with historic preservation, there is the, process to go through to determine whether or not those properties will be demolished and will create a green space, or there's another option. So the one that's slated, that's being talked about right now, is on 5 South Main Street, which is kind of right across the street from the firehouse, Harmony Firehouse on Main Street, and the old mill. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the Historic Preservation finally approved the demo of 5 South Main, which would be, like you said, that pink house that sits on the corner there.
Right.
The little shed in the back, that will remain there. And that will become, as you said, a green space. And then as you noticed too, there's going to be a sidewalk that runs, down from Main Street down to the pond there. So like you said, that's slated in the next, 30 to 60 days, hopefully.
Yeah. The, that house for a long time stood for sale and obviously never really moved because of its, positioning. In some cases, people didn't want to be that close to the street, and also the amount of work that it needed. So that's why we moved forward with purchasing that house last year. And as you said, the retaining wall project and sidewalk project, which is the last phase of that sidewalk project that was completely funded by the developer of the Mullica West Apartments. You'll recall there was some connecting sidewalk already put in from Mullica West Apartments up to Main Street and down to ShopRite and so forth. And the last piece is that retaining wall, which is a major construction project, and the last piece of sidewalk to connect to the pond up to Main Street. That project is ready to move forward. We're waiting for the utility companies to give the approval. And as you said, that's another important thing that we're now going to be able to get done. And the other part of this is, and people are always concerned, as we are, because it's a primary concern of ours, is how do you pay for stuff like this?
Right.
So Adam, how do you pay for stuff like this?
So that's always the thing, especially this time of year, with elections going around, everybody wants to start saying, where's all this coming from? Why is the money being handled? But it actually comes from a 6 cents dedicated tax for open space. So all there's no new funding, no new, bonded money that's coming. This is money that was already referendum vote, years ago.
Yeah. And a lot of people, that are in tune and pay attention to this kind of stuff are aware of that 6 cent dedicated tax, but a lot of people aren't. I would say that before I got involved, I don't know that I would have, been up to speed on a lot of that stuff. But basically, there was a couple of referendum votes going back many years where people of the community voted to have a certain portion, cents per dollar, dedicated strictly to an account that could only be used for things like this, to buy property that's in the public interest, like we did with that 5 South Main, or to improve property, build something, whether it's something to do with one of the fields or sporting groups, or beautify an area, as we will do with 5 South Main. So there's that dedicated tax, and then it goes into a fund and we use it for things like that. And so in this case, it's that or money that has previously been, allocated for strictly beautification of public property. There is no new, borrowing going on here to take care of this and any of the other projects that we've been talking about. So, anything else you feel like you want to add to this?
Yeah, I mean, even this year, something else we're going to be doing new along Main Street this year. We're actually going to be lighting up the small trees that go down along Main Street. Just add a little other touch for, hopefully lights on Main if we're able to have it, if we're not able to have it. But, just to give our town a little bit more of an extra touch this holiday season.
Yeah, I mean, it does look like we're leaning towards not an official Lights on Main event, because be able to have 8,000 or 10,000 people on the street more than likely isn't going to be allowed based on the, gathering limitation. At this point, it's 500 people, but the street, as I said in my interview with Julie last week, will still be transformed to a beautiful, Christmas village right at that same pivot point on Thanksgiving weekend. And this year, as you said, we're adding lighting up the trees in between, with pin lights to give it even an extra added, flair. And again, all dollars that are being spent on that are coming from, this money that we have set aside for beautification of public property. No new dollars being spent. So appreciate you spending some time with us today, Adam. It's good to see you.
Thank you. You too.
Take care. And as always, our motto is
Harrison
stay
Strong.
Harrison strong, no matter what. Talk to you soon.
Take care.